Hi there, Will here, and today, a two-part video. We hit 4,000 subscribers around here recently, and I realized a significant portion of people who watch these videos are overseas and thus might not have the best context of where I'm going or South Africa at large. So I figured today, start things off by showing you around places we had been and places I'd like to go on a map, and then lead into what I got up to over the weekend, which was making some photos in Hermanus. For a quick overview of South Africa, it's separated into a few different provinces. I live in the Western Cape, and the majority of my videos have taken place in the Western Cape, but there's the Northern Cape, which is a very rural area, Eastern Cape, slightly warmer, more Indian Ocean, Free State, which is very dry and cold, and Johannesburg, Limpopo, KwaZulu-Natal, that side of the country. Never really spent much time there. Anyway, to give you more context on the Western Cape and where the majority of my videos have been made so far, here's a map of Cape Town. So most of the videos that I've made on this channel have taken place in the Western Cape. A significant portion of them have taken place in Cape Town, but the ones where I wander out on travel adventures with my friends or just go somewhere more interesting and scenic, like Fontaine, which is where I filmed the Portra 400 at Twilight video and the Mamiya 645 video, or Kloof, which is where the waterfalls were and I did a Mamiya 7ii hike, or Betty's Bay, which was the calm weekend with friends, Hermanus, which is where this video takes place today, and also where I filmed the 500mm portraits video, Robertson, where I filmed South African landscape stuff, and the Rooihoogte Pas, which showed up in the Mamiya 7ii road trip video. In that video, we went about here in the Western Cape, which is 3 hours outside of Cape Town. And the farthest I've travelled so far in a video is Aberdeen, which is 8 hours away from Cape Town. But that's not the most important map in my eyes. The most important one is this large one. And as you can see on this large one, the furthest I've gone as of August 2021 is Aberdeen, and there's still all the rest of the country to explore in that direction. The West Coast specifically, I haven't gone very far up in a video, and I look forward to going as far up as possible on that route because there's very interesting scenery around there. And this time of year, it's spring and there are endless fields of flowers, so maybe in the very near future. With regards to places I'd like to go and things I'd like to do in the future, I think if I do a big road trip once I've finished off photographing here, it would be to Namibia, to go see the dunes out there and abandoned diamond towns and that sort of thing. And also hopefully on the way back go sort of via Uppington and this area of South Africa because it's very, very rural and sparse out there. And there's just a lot of photographic interest for me. Anyway, hopefully that's given you a bit of a better overview of my exploits around South Africa so far, and future aspirations, I suppose, because Namibia is a huge one. Could even go up to Botswana, Mozambique, Tanzania maybe, where I grew up. Eventually, plans for the future. That being said though, in today's video we are headed back to Hermanus to hang out with Vic and Stu for a weekend. The weekend started off with the drive up to Hermanus, which was about an hour and 40 minutes on the N2, which is always an interesting road to drive on the weekend because it is absolutely packed with people who are in such a rush to go and relax that they're willing to sacrifice their lives and the lives of everyone around them to get there super fast. Anyway, we arrived safely in Hermanus to meet with Vic and Stu at the Saturday market and wandered around looking for Stu's stall, which was a stall selling vinyls, and he was vinyl DJing with a friend. As soon as we arrived at the market, I noticed this dachshund, sausage dog, with a coat that matched the bark lining the ground, and I spent pretty much the entire time that we were there hanging with Vic and Stu at the market, chasing down this dachshund to try and get a picture of it in the right setting, which thankfully I did. And as soon as I made that picture, I noticed that people were calling out for Stu. They were calling his name. They're saying, "Stu, come here." And there was a song playing. And apparently, it is becoming a tradition that at the end of Stu's day in the market, this song plays and he goes and dances to it. If this video has adverts on it, it is entirely because I'm actually going to include this song in it. I don't really like adverts. I don't even have my channel monetized because I don't want adverts on anything. But if there's an advert on something, it's because I couldn't resist including this song. And after that lovely display, we went back to Stu's place and had a nap after deciding to go and watch the rugby at their friend's house that evening. The rugby was about as exciting as I remember rugby being the last decade I watched it, so I ended up wandering down to Tidal Pool, and Maya and Vic and Stu joined to go see what was going on there. And it was a really cool scene because the moon was nearly full, and the tidal pool itself was super still, but the sea behind it was quite rough, so I made some photographs of that. And once we were done making those photographs, I looked up and Stu wasn't there. And I asked, "Where's Stu?" And Vicky said, "Oh, he's probably at the abandoned house." And I said, "What abandoned house?" And she took us around the corner, and there was this little cottage, very derelict, filled with all manner of interesting things that apparently had something to do with a guy who scammed a lot of people out of a lot of money. Because the property is prime beachfront property, so I guess it's got something to do with some rich guy. Anyway, I made some photographs in there. I realized that I'd never used my Mamiya 7 with a cable release before, and also realized that I'd never done a long exposure with my Mamiya 7, even though I've owned it for 4 years. So I figured, rather than try and muck around with the cable release, I'd just use the self-timer to make the camera actuate itself. And that worked very well. I did get nailed by the parallax error on the Mamiya 7 though, making this picture of the window with the cracked glass, because in the viewfinder, the moon was actually inside the middle of that square. I was quite specific about it, and then parallax kind of played me, I guess. The next morning, we lazed about for a bit before being handed bicycles by Vic and Stu and being told we were going to go for a morning swim, which is very in line with their lifestyle. Not necessarily mine. I think Vic and Stu might have seal blood or something, because the ocean here is absolutely freezing, especially some areas, but in general it's pretty cold, and rivers are much more friendly for swimming than the ocean. So. The cycle though was really nice. I haven't been on a bike in a while, and just wandering around this little town on a bicycle was enjoyable. And we saw some sights, looked out from the whale outlook, and arrived at the tidal pool, which looked pretty but frigid. And once I'd felt the water, my opinion was not changed. The water was absolutely freezing, so I decided I would wander around and make some photographs. And I ended up making this one that I really like, probably my favorite in this video, of Vicky swimming past some urchins. And then I felt left out, so I jumped in after I'd made that picture.
Just do it!
And that's the story of that weekend. It ended with us driving Vicky and Stu to Betty's Bay to have lunch with Vicky's parents. And I made a couple more pictures at the tidal pool that I'll probably include in next week's video, because the roll is still in the camera, so I need to finish it off. But they should be nice. And besides that, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next week. I've just realized that the day I upload this video is going to be my sister's birthday, so if you've made it this far, it'd be quite funny if you told her happy birthday. But if everyone misspelled her name slightly. Her name is R-E-I-N-E, but there are a number of variations on Rain that one can come up with, so I leave it to you. And happy birthday, Rain.